and welcome to another edition of GW Unspoken. We're at Season 5, Episode 3, and we're talking about the addiction of technology and also, I guess, the negatives that can be caused from an addictive dopamine system. Now, I'm here in the car, so I know the most important thing for podcasts is clarity and audibility of a podcast, so it might be a little bit up and down, and the good old 2007 Prado might be revving a bit here and you might be hearing traffic, but I hope you stick with me because just on the road I'm getting a few thoughts about how we can actually talk about this to sort of support our teens. It's not our teens' fault that they get addicted to technology, and that's the problem. So whether it be things like social media or gaming, it's actually not their fault. It's the algorithms within those products that actually make our kids susceptible to addiction. So what is addiction? Addiction is when our dopamine pathways in our brains get overstimulated over and over again, and because of that, our levels to get satisfied from that dopamine once we're actually in the game or on the social media become harder and harder to reach, and that can cause anxiety and depression and even psychosis. So how do we support our teens? Because realistically, our teens can't support themselves. If you tuned into the episode beforehand, we actually talked about how yes, we should have a consistent, predictable routine for our teens, and our teens can try and do that. But realistically, if they're addicted to technology, they cannot do that. Now, the problem with games, if you look at them, for example, more over than not, it's usually our boys who are addicted to technology with games because there's high risk. Typically, our boys are full of testosterone in that teenage 10-year window. And what happens then is that because they've got so much testosterone, it limits all that stuff like oxytocin, the thing that actually, that feel good, that love you get authentically from other people. We don't care about what people think. We don't care about people's opinions, but we're all about risk. And because those levels in our body, that's called GABA, it's also shut down, it actually means we are actually craving more risk, more danger. So they call it even danger porn. We're actually seeking danger. And guess what our games do these days? Our games look at kills. Our games look at shooting people up, blowing people up, maybe us having 100 lives. So even though it's not really us, it's simulated egocentrically that it is us in that game. Physically, we're fighting, we're shooting people up, we're killing, we're bombing nations. All right, and now they're actually making the AI pictures so real, I believe, that they're actually showing women down there who are sexualized as a character. And so our boys internalize that and look at that and actually probably get turned on from it, even though it sounds crazy, because it's still women making those noises as if they're actually having sexual actions and reactions. And I know Grand Theft Auto is a big one on that. So our boys' dopamine systems are going crazy, going through the roof. We've seen it before, even on 60-minute episodes, where people have been so cranky at their parents saying, no mum, no dad, I'm not getting off the device, leave me alone, just leave my food at the door. And unfortunately our parents often do that because they don't want the fight, they don't want the hassle. And they often go into that thing where, well, I guess everyone else's teens are going through the same, so it's just a phase these days with our students in these days, or our kids in these days. So how do we stop that? How do we actually do that? Well, we've got to police the technology. And it's a hard conversation. And parents, we know that. Teens, you've got to think about that as well. The other day I talked about James Clear and talked about one of the kids at school. They found it hard to do study because they are actually addicted to technology. And I said, look, just use the habit stacking method, the hamburger method, where you do something you love doing, put that in the middle of the stuff you don't want to do, and then finish it off. So it could be things like, okay, I'm going to make myself a nice milkshake or a good feed. I'm actually going to do my study, and to reward myself, I'm going to do, I don't know, half an hour on games. But again, it's hard for people to police that because unless you've got a timer and you're very strict on that, as Gillespie said, it's like, hey, here's all the vodka in the fridge. Whatever you do, don't touch it. Eventually, that temptation is going to be there. So how can we actually stop it? We have to police it. We have to police it ourselves as the parent. Teens, I'm not sure. I'm not sure whether we can do it ourselves, especially if we've got addicted personality or we're already addicted to technology. I don't know whether we can actually fix it ourselves. I'm not sure. I don't know if we've got the strong willpower to do that. And what about our teens who are females? Stereotypically, the females get addicted to social media. Why? Because they have a high level of that oxytocin feel-good drug in their body, that natural hormone. So what does that mean? It means that they do want to be liked. They don't want to have conflict, especially with strangers or in their peers. But we see it over and over again, especially in school systems where when the teenagers come to school, they'll often be in conflict or there'll be a behaviour issue that parents will write out and say, please help us, because they've had a social exchange on social media where people are brave not face to face, but on their device to say whatever they want to say, but now suddenly they have to be in an environment where they are face to face. Our dopamine systems are being absolutely triggered and gone skyrocketed because of the instant likes we get from social media. The more likes, the more dopamine we get. And it's similar to that button they talk about. The more they have an experiment of pushing a button, the more dopamine flooded the system of the brain. Eventually they couldn't stop themselves and they were getting high as a kite on dopamine. And they're actually pleading for people to take it away. Right? Our teens don't want us to take the social media away. They like the likes, especially our girls. They want to be part of something. That oxytocin makes them want to feel like they're part of a group, part of a girl group even, being part of a clan that stands for something, that groupthink, where actually they're all together on a certain issue or they believe in certain things. This is what's so important for our teens to be around the right association, by the way. Imagine if they're not. Imagine if they're in an association of drinking, alcohol. What if they're smoking? What about vaping? All those things that they can easily be triggered into because they actually want to feel part of a group. So we've got to think about how can we support our girls, especially with that. Well, again, it's about not being addicted to those things. We've got to stop the dopamine pathways of getting addicted through overexposure of these devices. And so how do we do that? We've got to find ways, teens, we've got to find ways for yourselves to get that dopamine, that stimulation from something that's harder to reach, something that takes a long time, something that takes over an hour to accomplish, something that actually is out there where you actually like doing. I know with my stepdaughter, she loves doing crystal creation, so it's an art project that takes over an hour. And by the end of it, it's nice. It's like an animal, like a tiger or something, which she loves animals, so it's sort of win-win. But it does slow her down. We need to slow our teens down. Sport's another great one. If they can get part of a group of people who they like to hang around and associate, and again, they're the right people to hang around, sport can give you natural endorphins. It can give you lots of dopamine, especially at the end of it. But again, that's hard work to get to that. Imagine saying to a teen now, compare with, get on social media and get as many likes as you can with hardly any effort compared to going for a run around the block, sweating it off, and then after that 45 minute to an hour run, 10 minutes later you might get that runner's high, you might get those natural endorphins, you're going to feel good. One takes no work at all, it's easy, and the other one takes a lot of hard work and effort and sweat and tears to eventually get something that's going to be probably a bit longer lasting, but against the harder work. It's a hard job. It's teenagers. I feel sorry for you in this day and age where you are addicted or easy to be addicted by technology. Everybody's doing it. You want to be part of a group. I get it. But if you seriously understood that an addiction to technology allows you to be more addicted to things like drugs, alcohol, pornography, gambling, online shopping, and yes, online shopping is a big one because you get a dopamine hit of scrolling, finding something of value, scrolling, purchasing, and then the next one is a dopamine hit of you waiting until eventually it arrives on your doorstep. So I want you to think about that. I want you to think about being, I suppose, proactive while you're actually on a device. Will it make a difference? I don't know. Will it make you think now that you understand these facts that you'll actually stop being on your social media because it can happen to you? Or will you hide behind things such as, I know I'm different, I know that won't affect me, I know it affects my brother or my sister or my friend, but I'm different. I'd like you to give me some feedback about this because I want to find out whether there's something in yourselves that can have a strong, assertive behaviour to stop the addictive pathways happening from social media and gaming. And look, I hope you join into the next episode in season 5 and episode 4 because I do want to keep going on this project and also this topic. And, it's one of the biggest things in society at the moment. They're talking about social media having a ban until you're 16 years of age. Realistically, you're going to find that anyway. You're going to find a way to get into social media if you're addicted to it. You're going to find a way to get to those likes if your dopamine's used to those pathways of getting stimulated by that, and you're trying to reach that and find it. Like an alcoholic, I suppose, trying to find that next drop of alcohol. So tune in. We'll come up with more advice. We'll get some more guest speakers to help support this. It's a massive thing in our community right now. I know our government's looking to change the legislation. It's taken a long time to get to this, but I wonder what the real remedy is going to be, if any. Have we gone too far? I would like to know. I'll tell you one thing I do know. The overwhelming response I have from teens when you interview them and say, would you ever give up technology? The overwhelming response is no, but I would if my friends gave it up. So again, we are born naturally to be a society that follows a culture, be part of a group. We seek that as a human. I wonder if we all gave up our device, whether you actually would. It'd be interesting to find out. But thank you for joining us on GW Unspoken. Love your feedback, and we hope to come up with some, again, proactive strategies moving forward so we can support our teens and also our people who are looking after our teens.